When Dad got arrested, I couldn't imagine him doing something so terrible to another person. Just like I never expected him to allow you to suffer on the stand like that. If he can be that cold, Mom, then I'm not sure if I should keep standing by his side. As for your mom, she can't go to prison for what she did. She must have stayed silent because she was afraid that you would react the way that you're reacting right now. Valid. But both of my parents took innocent lives. I might as well stay with my father at Theodosius' palace. Does your son know about our connection? But if you still love Mom, don't you think you should still be able to give her another chance? Hello, Ulissa. Are you still going to avoid me today, or are we gonna talk? It's been hard to look at you lately, Mom, but I'm ready to face you now. Nichelle, you've been in a sour mood ever since the trial. On top of that, it feels like you've been avoiding me. Is something about the trial concerning you? Because I can assure you that everything will be okay. Dad, I'm in a sour mood because you weaponized Mom's personal, difficult choice against her. Why? Thank you for setting up this meeting with me, Adaku. Before we begin this partnership, we need to set some ground rules. How's my mom holding up? Your mother's praying to St. Anthony because she feels like Ben and Max have lost their way. Speaking of Max, he certainly loves having you home. Why wouldn't he? I am his mother after all. And for Max's sake, I'm in no rush to leave, as long as you don't try to sabotage it. Were you ever gonna tell us that you terminated your pregnancy all those years ago? Ever since I got it done, the plan was to put it behind me forever. The thing was that it wasn't something I could ever forget. Does that mean you actually did love the child you got rid of? Because if you did, then what made you keep Nichelle and I, but decide not to keep your other baby? Trust me, Nichelle, it pained me to see our mother in that much pain. If it pained you that much, Dad, then why did you let it happen? Things get out of our control in court. You gotta trust me on this. No, Dad, trusting you is exactly what tore this family apart. I'm listening. What are your ground rules? You don't get to dictate what product I sell on the beachfront, and you don't let the employees in on what I do with my business. Deal. But since you mentioned the beachfront, I can't help but think about the fatal drink overdose during spring break. Were you behind that? I didn't target that young man, but I will admit that it was my product. From the sound of it, you've been selling your product at Theodosius' palace for a while. You're saying that I would sabotage your stay here, Heidi? Are you forgetting that you're the one who sabotaged your place in this family 20 years ago? Creeping with Finnegan Burke? Gianni, what happened? I regret it. I wish I can change this, but I can't. Can you say the same thing about Quinlan? I mean, you realize that you couldn't have a future with the girl. Just keep in mind that Quinlan would have never entered the picture if you were just faithful. I made my choice because I was afraid. What were you so afraid of, Mom? Pacho was just a baby around that time, Ulissa. If Devante had any doubts that I was carrying his baby and found out that I was carrying Isidor's baby, then I was worried that your father would have divorced me, forcing Pacho to grow up in a broken home. So you sacrificed the baby in your womb to keep Pacho happy? I'm just trying to explain everything. At the time, it was easier to think about the baby I already knew and loved rather than the baby I couldn't put a face or even a name to. Dad cheated on you around that same time, Mom. Maybe he would have forgiven you and helped raise Isidor's baby. Or maybe Isidor would have helped you out if your worst fears came true. I wasn't thinking about all of that then, Ulissa. At the time, I didn't know that your father was sleeping with Elvira behind my back. On top of that, I couldn't hurt your father by telling him that I cheated on him with another man, my ex. I wish things could have been different, but they aren't. For the rest of my life, I'll have to live with the fact that I sacrificed my baby to keep your father happy. Who got to you, Nisha? Your mother? Your sister? Neither of them. It was you who turned me against you. Your actions at court made everything clear to me. Dad, what made you snap that night? Why did you have to take Elvira's life so violently? Nothing made me snap because I didn't do it. Just like you didn't really know Adaku Denjuma like that, right? Dad, I'm not as stupid as I look. I don't see why you can't know the truth. The truth about what? Our families have been in business together ever since my father rose to power. You're kidding me. I'm not. Guess making smart business deals is in my blood. But why wouldn't my father tell me this? He felt like you weren't ready. For a moment, I was worried that I would lose Theodosius' palace as a spot to sell my product if your father did go down for Elvira Russo's passing. Once he goes to prison, then you can prove him wrong. What makes you so certain that my father's going to end up in prison? Of course. Make me the villain while you refuse to take accountability. You should know all about that, Heidi, since you plan to take your secret affair to the grave. Yes, I did plan to keep it a secret for as long as I could. What does that mean to you? That you wanted me to live the rest of my life as a laughingstock? No. Does it not make you consider the fact that I never would have chosen Finnegan over you? Heidi, if that were the case, then you never would have fallen for his advances towards you. A woman who should have been committed to her husband and the father of her sons. I'll regret it for as long as I live, Gianni. I'm so sorry for hurting you like this. Hurting our family the way I have is something that I'll always be ashamed of. As if your words mean anything anymore. Okay, Gianni, what words do you have for me? Have you stopped loving me? Just say the words and I promise to sign the divorce papers and move on. Mom, I'm never gonna accept the choice you made all those years ago. That makes it two of us. Baby, terminating the pregnancy has given me nightmares. It probably always will. I truly thought I was doing the right thing, but now I realize that it was a mistake. A mistake I can never take back or ever make up for. Guess we'll just have to accept that we can't rewrite history. Now we just need to figure out how we'll move on from here. Thank you for saying that, Ulissa. When you decided to have this close relationship with God, I was more driven to take the secret to the grave. One thing I didn't want was for you to lose your trust in me or for your love for me to go away. Mom, my love for Dad never went away. Despite everything he's done, of course I never stopped loving you, just like I know you never stopped loving me. Let me get that. Essador, what are you doing here? Isn't it obvious? We need to talk. I never thought you were stupid, Nisha. That's funny, since you wanted me to fall for all of your lies this whole time. Now what? Since you think I'm this monster, do you plan to leave and stay with your mother? This is my home. If you're uncomfortable knowing what I know about you, then I guess you'll have to throw me out. I would never lay a finger on you. And I'll never leave my home. Whether you go to prison or get away with what you did, you will have to face the fact that I know what you did and that I'm ashamed to be your daughter. I'm sorry to say this, but your father has been unlikable lately. I feel like the jury will sense that and make their conclusion. I've stood by my father this whole time. Did he ever confess to you about his part in Elvira's passing? Whatever is spoken between your father and I stays between your father and I. Just like how I didn't tell your father that you and I will be working together. Since I'm keeping quiet, I expect you not to let your father in on what you know. That can be done. I'm looking forward to doing business with you, Adaku. Joke's on you, lady, because my father isn't the only one going to prison. Max wants you to stay. I didn't ask you if Max wants me to stay. I asked you if you still love me. Well, I still love you, Gianni. Maybe if you won't take my word for it, then I'll just show you that I still love you.